Well, new at 5, left out in the cold. There is a gap in services for homeless families in northern Kentucky, even as temperatures drop and the snowflakes fly. One family with a 9-month-old and 2 more on the way is just one example of those falling through the crack. 9 on your side anchor Evan Millward is live right now in Covington with the help they finally received and why the shelter that turned them away is just as frustrated. Evan?
Well, Craig, this is the only low barrier, no wait list emergency shelter in northern Kentucky, but it can't take anyone under the age of 18. Last night, the folks who work here tried to find other places for that family to go. They were often met with no answer on the phones. So that family with a 9-month-old and twins on the way just had to walk. They walked down the block to this least famous recipe chicken. That's where someone called Maslow's Army.
We ain't been in one place. We've been like multiple places.
Robert Clark, his wife, and his 9-month-old son left Indiana when they couldn't pay rent. He's recently out of work in northern Kentucky and now without a home.
There's nothing.
His wife is pregnant with twins. This weekend, the hospital recommended they try the emergency shelter of northern Kentucky.
The staff was crushed.
Executive Director Kim Webb says she lost sleep knowing she had to turn this family away, but this shelter isn't built to handle the needs of young kids. For example, it has only one women's shower.
It is a liability, it's a safety issue. It is understanding the population that we're designed to serve is those facing or that are in active addiction, adults with mental health crisis.
The shelter's so full they are letting people sleep on mats on the floor because there aren't any more bunks. Enter Maslow's Army.
Knowing that she was just sitting at Lee's, not knowing what to do next, that she shouldn't have been put in that position.
With the help of donations, they are providing 10 days in a hotel, food, formula, clothes. They tell me they're disgusted at this gap in services. Kim Webb agrees. Tells me there is no emergency shelter service for an adult with a child in northern Kentucky.
Where the family's going right now, they're probably headed to the library. They're headed to a public building that can do that. But when the sun goes down, and if they're homeless, where are they headed? That is a gap.
The Clarks are taken care of now, but disheartened.
It says that they want to see the family divided. I mean, they don't want to see actually togetherness.
So there are family shelters here in northern Kentucky. There's Welcome House. I reached out to them, but never got through on the phone today. There's also Family Promise of northern Kentucky, used to be the Interfaith Hospitality Network. When I talked to them, they told me a spot had just opened up this afternoon, but there is an intake process for them. Again, not an emergency shelter. Here's what's really frustrating is just across the river in Ohio, I am told that if a family shows up at a shelter, Bethany House can take care of them immediately that night. And that's just across the river in Ohio. We're live in Covington tonight. I'm Evan Millward, 9 on your side.